Hi, everybody. This is Dr. Daniel Sable, and we are here with our first actual video for the Cognitive Edge. I have a very, very, very special guest with me tonight. My wife, that's Miss Amy Sable. So, Amy, can you tell us a little bit about what you do and kind of how you got to the point?
Sure. So I'm a special education teacher and I've been teaching for over 20 years.
Excellent.
When when I was a kid, I always loved working with kids. I was a babysitter, I was a camp counselor. And when I went to college and I had to figure out what to do, my mother was like, you can be a nurse or you could be a teacher. And I'm like, well, I like kids so much, I might as well, go towards being a teacher. Plus, I couldn't stand blood, so that just wasn't for me. Um, and then, as I went on and I started learning and taking all my intro courses, I was really drawn to special education, really kind of interested in the diversity and helping all those, children in need. So I kind of focused more on that. And so I graduated with my master's in special ed and reading. And I, started working from there, and it was just, it's been an amazing journey, and how things have changed. It's just been really excellent.
Excellent. So, right now, I'm assuming the field is a little like tumultuous. There's a lot of moving pieces because of the state Department of Education and special ed law and so forth. So, do you see any like um, problems or issues for coming in the near future for special ed education students? Like, for instance, if parents have the ability to get vouchers to put their kids in special schools or something, would you consider that an issue or would you consider that a benefit?
I think we just have to really focus on what's best for the kids and kind of keeping it more student focused and making sure that we're accommodating and modifying to meet the needs of the kids. And if we keep doing that and keep our focus on the kids and not so much on the politics and everything else that's going on, then it would really be more beneficial all
Excellent.
around.
Excellent. And so, if you were the commissioner of education and you took an overall view of special ed, um, where would you want it to go? What direction?
I think we're doing pretty good now. I think we're very, student centered, and I think, just making sure that we have everything we need to kind of meet the kids' needs. As our kids are coming up and technology is so important, just making technology available,
Yeah,
for all kids, and making
exactly.
sure there's, they have the assistive tech evals if they need those, to make sure that we're modifying things so that our students, our special needs students, are ready for the real world, at their level.
Now, not a lot of people know this, but can you kind of give us just a very quick glimpse into what a day in a life looks like as a special educator, dealing with different students from different age groups and so forth?
Right. Well, there's so many different like special ed programs out there in different schools and the way things are run. So every special ed teacher kind of does their own unique thing. You have the self-contained classes where there's a special ed teacher in there and she kind of has her whole class, to herself. And then you also have what is more what I do, which is like content support, in the special area, where I would pull kids out and work with them, kind of like an old-fashioned resource room. Then there are teachers that push in, but all of it is really just working and focusing on modifying the work, and making sure that the kids are introduced to that grade level curriculum, and just meeting them where they're at. And that's what every special ed teacher's main focus is meeting the kids where they're at and kind of moving them on from there.
Excellent. Now, do you feel that special education is underplayed when it comes to budget and when it comes to resources?
um,
This is probably a good one.
yeah. I mean, I think it depends on, where you're working and what, what your district budget is. Some areas have a lot more, room in their budget to allow for, special education and all these other programs. I think a lot of teachers in general, special ed, regular ed, teachers, we work hard, and if we don't have something, we make it up ourselves. There are a lot of great resources out there that we go and find ourselves if something isn't provided.
And that's, in my mind, when I think of that, I think of across the board, it's somewhat sad as special educators and as just special area teachers. You guys have to go out and find your own resources as opposed to being supplied as a general educator would be. And that's a problem. So, okay.
Yeah, but I think it's also, our students are so, everything has to be individualized for them.
Right.
So you can't kind of just say, here's the curriculum, for your, group of kids this year, because you know what, maybe not all my kids are going to be able to access that curriculum. So anything that I'm giving as some type of a program has to be tweaked. It has to be,
Perfect.
changed and individualized for the kids.
Perfect. And then you mentioned one last thing that I want to hit here. Technology. We don't have our Ray Kurzweils anymore, or our Vygotskis, or different people coming up with new ideas and technologies. Do you think that what we presently do have in terms of technology advances special education, or do you think that it pulls it back?
I think it's really helpful because I think it allows certain kids more access to curriculum. Like, for like a very specific example, if you have a student maybe in upper grade that, maybe has a classification of dyslexia or struggles reading and decoding, but, cognitively can understand, at their grade level
Right.
because of technology, because of, now we can have, books, read to the kids, and they
Right.
could, listen to audiobooks and everything. They have access to that curriculum. So I think technology, if it's used correctly, is very beneficial.
Hey, Amy, I really do appreciate you coming on. I know you're my wife, but I still
had
have
no
to
choice.
say, yes, I held her down and tied her down here. I just can't see it. But I appreciate your feedback and telling us a little bit more about special education and giving us a look inside of what it's like in the day of the life of a special educator. We all thank you and all of your colleagues so much, because without you guys, I'm not sure where we would be. Your job is probably thankless, going in and working in the the setbacks and so forth. So again, we really thank you, and we hope everybody here enjoyed. This is our first episode, which is why we have a special guest, and a very special guest, and we hope to see you soon. Thanks. Bye bye.
Bye.